What's up, everyone? We have this Bilt TB220 159cc engine, and the owner said that he got it for free from a friend of his, and the owner, or the previous owner, said it was in the shed or garage for like 4 years, and that was potentially longer. It wasn't even his shed. I think they were cleaning it out, and the person that had it before is gone. Don't know the story behind that one, don't want to know, but I'm thinking this has a fuel issue. Let me explain why. There's fuel in there, and it's not starting, and it's been staying there for 4 years. So, probably a fuel issue. So I think what we're going to do, we're not even going to bother checking for spark. We're not going to bother. I already checked the oil. It's fine. It actually looks almost brand new, and it's at a good level, so it's fine there. I think what we're going to do is we're going to get straight into cleaning the carburetor, or at least trying to. I get it. Everyone loves going through the whole diagnostics part and putting carb spray down there, and oh no, it could be spark and blah 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 blah. But let me let you in on a secret. When you hear stories like that, generally you could kind of do what you, or take from what you wish. But I hear stories like it's been sitting in the shed for 4 years. I'm instantly going to think fuel problem. But I don't know. Maybe we're going to waste our time. Don't know yet. But here's the thing. This machine isn't old. I mean, with the exception of just dirt and maybe a few lawn remnants, it doesn't look all that bad. There's no rust. The deck under the deck is actually fairly clean, so that's good. Did it come out the wrong? Oh no, it didn't. There's a breather tube that goes from the crank case to the air filter. Kind of has a vent. Pressure will build up. Oh my god. And it needs a place to relieve that pressure. And the best place that they found was to put it in here instead of the atmosphere, which makes sense. Don't want that just to be leaking anywhere. Oh no, it does have that weird little carb or choke system on it. Hopefully it's not going to give us a big pain. I don't remember how much fuel is in here, but I have a sinking suspicion it was relatively full. Actually, it's not that full at all, so that's good. Let's go ahead and take the fuel clamp off. You probably can't see anything. Let's get you a little closer, shall we? Hopefully that's better. Now, take that fuel clamp off. Where's the end? Right there on the bottom. It's always there. Probably just in case there is a little bit of fuel left, want to put a clamp on the fuel line and do that closer to the tank. The gasket came off with one of those little spacers. Oh yeah, that definitely has the feel of something that's been married together for like 4 years. Oh wow, wait a minute. Is there 2 gaskets on there? There we go. Yeah. It was really committed to staying on there. Good for it. Next, I'm going to take off this gasket. Oh man, is this the one? I bet it is. Or maybe not. Okay, good. I'm hoping that we don't have to take off the whole cover, just to take off the choke. Nope, we do. That's not fun. Okay, let me explain. Actually, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take off these 3 nuts. That should release the recoil. And I'm pretty sure also this will just come right off, and I'll show you why we have to go through this extra step. That's the reason why. We actually need to remove this plate, if I remember correctly. At least to make it easier on us. Yeah, I don't want to break the plastic on the carb. So there's 2 10 millimeters. This whole plate will come off with this little fan that turns the choke off when the engine starts moving. I mean, it's a simple system. Better than some, but and it also has this, which is connected to that, which is, oh, what's this? It's a piece of plastic. Anyway, that will also go out quite often, and that's not a cheap part either. So we're going to hope that that's, intact. But I'm going to take that off so we can take the carb off. Let me explain an issue with these I found working on a couple other ones in the past. Oh wow, that's on there. Are all of these going to be like that? The problem is this. They have like this little charcoal canister in there, and that charcoal canister will just cause problems. Not necessarily for it running, but putting the recoil back on. Sometimes a hose can get stuck or pinched or something, and then you'll be wondering why your machine isn't working, and it's because it was pinched and the fuel tank isn't able to breathe. So when you put it back on, do I have to take off the coil too? Oh, this is okay. I'm just gonna assume we don't. Okay, I just said what I want to say. I'm gonna struggle with this and see if I take off the coil, because I really don't want to, because that's on there pretty tight. Actually, the next day, I also decided to take off the studs instead of removing the top. The second 10 millimeter in that plate was so hard, and I'd have to take off the coil, then I have to regap it. I decided to say no. So I put everything back on, and oh, that stinks. Oh my god. Oh, it's not even fuel anymore. The color doesn't do its justice, but it smells bad. So we know what's wrong with it. Surprisingly, I might have jinxed myself on that one. I was going to say I could just remove the pin. My hands, but no. No removal. It's going to happen with my fingers on that one. I think the needle's stuck too. So when you have a stuck needle, you don't really want to just willy-nilly try to take it off. Sorry. Oh, I put my mic on, huh? Sorry, someone came over at the project. Anyway, so the last thing you want to do is start pulling up on it right there. You can, if it's not super stuck. But what I like to do is I like to press down on the float. You see the top of the needle right there? Excuse me. Springtime. You take a pair of pliers. You kind of twist it. There we go. Comes right out every time. No risking of breaking the plastic float or even the carb for that matter, depending on where you want to pry it up on from. It's just a lot cleaner of a process. But now, if that was stuck, I don't even want to imagine what the jet is going to do. This flathead is like the perfect size for this style of jet, because you don't want anything that will give any type of play or anything. You want perfect sized. Actually comes right out. Well, not right out, but it wasn't as stuck as I originally thought. So at this point, we're going to need to remove that emulsion tube. That's probably going to require something else, like a pick at an angle or a small Allen key, or whichever one I can find first. Small Allen key it is. There we go. Now we have that out. We are going to want to remove this. First, you take this off, just kind of shove it in there. You're supposed to have a special type of driver for this, but any flathead that will make a decent squish will help. I would just pry up on this. There we go. Got that out. So at this point in time, I'm going to use my ultrasonic cleaner because I have one. But if you don't have one, you're going to want to take some carb spray and remove this bowl gasket if you can. If you can, it's going to destroy it, then just be very careful. But don't let the carb spray touch it. It will instantly destroy it. It'll make it grow and it will never go back. You could try. There's people say you can cut it and whatnot. It's not a good idea. Just don't do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And if you are using carb spray, go through all the little passageways and make sure it's nice and clean. In the interest of time, that's been cleaned. I went through the emulsion tube with a wire, cleaned that. Same thing with the jet, cleaned that. Same thing with here, cleaned that. The needle, I cleaned all the junk off of. And inside of the seat, just a solid piece of metal, I took a Q-tip and a drill, cleaned it out. I mean, it's just that, except straighter. Anyway, so because it was stuck, I want to make sure, one, it moves freely, which it does. This towel's wet from carb clean. The bowl did not clean up as well as I would have liked. I got all the grit out though, so it kind of looks stained, but it does have fuel that was thoroughly disgusting, so I guess that makes sense. I'm gonna blow in here with it upside down. I should not hear air. At all. And I'm gonna flip it normal, and I should hear air. Unfortunately, I hear air. So we are not done yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another Q-tip, and I'm gonna put some of that orange hand cream on there, or maybe even valve grinding compound. I might even use that. I'm gonna get it nice and clean and kind of wash it out. I'll be right back. This is my setup. On the end is a little bit of valve grinding compound. You can get that in pretty much any. Need to line it up real quick. Any mechanic store or auto parts store. That should get it nice and clean in there. And now we're going to turn it around. Here's a tip when you do this. Take a little bit of the cotton off, because the end is almost too big. I get it. We're going to turn it around. We'll put it back in. Oh, that was just carb spray. I don't want to spray it in the carb because the gasket's still there. Now I'm going to look at it real close to make sure all the grit's out. It does look like it is. Let's give it one more try. If it doesn't work this time, then we have something to do with the needle, or a problem with the needle. Okay, let's give it a try. I think the needle is in need of some good cleaning still, because it doesn't seem like it wants to move as freely as I would like it to. So I'm going to get that cleaned up. Got it all cleaned. Now when I blow it in here, I don't hear any air. Turn around, I hear air. Turn it back, I still don't hear any air. I think we're good. So that's good. The needle's hard because it's a rubber tip needle, and I didn't really want to use any carb spray. So I ended up just taking like the world's thinnest brush, metal brush, and just kind of cleaning the sides. There's 4 sides. I was hoping I didn't have to do that because I didn't want to run the risk of damaging it, but when you run the risk of installing it and having to take it off again because you didn't do it right the first time, well, it's not a risk I want to have. So, cover your bases. There we go. Excuse me. Now the bowl is stained, but it looks like it should be fine. I'll put it back on. You can get yourself into trouble if you use an impact on this. I've done it a few times, and don't get me wrong, I still do. But try to just use a wrench, because sometimes the impact, it sounds like it's on there tight, but it's not. I'm going to make sure I blew through this just one more time. This is important. It gets surged if it's not clean. Okay. There we go. Just realized I was completely blocking all the light. This part isn't that important because this mower will never idle. It doesn't have a throttle or anything. It just sits there in the same speed all the time. So it's not important, but we still want to put it on there because we have it. Now it's time for us to install the carb. The fuel that came out of it was this. I don't even know what that is. It looks like bad 2-cycle fuel, to be honest. But that's what we have to deal with. We need to put this back on the carb. And we need to put this back on. Which way is it? It is like so. The throttle I'm not too concerned over because it comes off relatively easily. So I double nutted this to take it off. If you don't know what that is, basically you take one nut and you get it tight. Or excuse me, you go and put on the back end of it. Here, I'll show you. Let me just tighten this real quick. And then you put the other one normal, except you put them together. What that effectively does is turns this into a bolt. It's great for situations like this. Just try and take that off any other way. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Others will say you should never use the impact, and I get it. You probably shouldn't, but I do. So take that as you will. So this one's on backwards. This one goes on normally. You have a good couple thread of engagement. And you take your wrench on this side. And you take another wrench or impact. It's a lot easier when I'm not having to film it. 1 second, you get the idea. There we go. Third hand was needed. So now, we can simply install like so. I can tighten this. Like so. Take this off. Also like so. And voila. We don't have anything to do with removing the tank, getting that garbled mess of tubes and charcoal canister disrupted. And I personally like that better. Next, we need to put this back on. There we go. And we have this annoying bad boy. Also needs to go on. Let's see, will this turn it off? Theoretically, yes. But first, we need to put the throttle on. Along with this little spring. There's a little tab on the side, and you just need to put the spring through the tab. Okay, now let's test it one more time. Choke should open. I'll show you what I did. That is the top, this little black piece. It's the top of the choke arm, and then it goes inside. So there's the metal piece that you can't see right here, and then the arm goes around. Here's the other end of it. So when you pull on it, if I was holding it, let's see if I can do it with one hand. There we go. Now you can see, right? That's how the choke works. Ideally, like I said, that little piece on the exhaust, it's not known for its reliability, let's just put it that way, and it's crazy expensive for what it is. I think it was like $36, something like that. It's some ridiculous price. And the unfortunate part about that is you can't really do anything about it. Like, you need it. Or you could just simply take it off, and you always have to like use starting fluid. Suppose that's a alternative. I personally wouldn't like doing that, but that's just me. You're not going to see a whole lot, but trust me, neither am I. Okay, we need to put this back on. It comes with a sleeve. The sleeve goes in this plastic piece. The 210s, and then we have this one. Always want to start all of them and not tighten them until you have them all started. So what will end up happening is you will get 2 of them done, and this third one, you'll be tempted to say like, I don't need it. And probably is true. But yet again, it came with it, so why not use it? Why give someone that's going to work on this next a sinking suspicion that someone's been in here? When they open the carb, they'll notice, but assuming there's another person. This air filter really does not like being put in here. It's a common occurrence with these. There we go. Now, I'm going to put it down, put my tools away, put some fuel on it, and we'll see how it works, if so. Okay, here it is. Don't know why he gave it to me like this. I didn't bother to put that on yet. It still works, so I'll put it on later. Anyway. Uh-oh. We do have a leak. Let's see where it's leaking from. Is it the bowl or the needle? I thought I smelled fuel, but I couldn't feel anything. I can tell now. It's definitely a needle. You can tell because the whole bowl's wet. So we're going to do an old school technique of hitting it while the air filter's off. Basically, the reason why I did that is sometimes the float can get like jammed, like maybe at an angle or something, and doesn't go all the way up and down, and it can cause this problem. So if you kind of hit it and kind of jostle it, it kind of like try to fix itself. It doesn't always work, but it is something worth trying. You don't want to wail on it, of course. You don't want to damage it, but you just give it a good little helpful like smackings, and it should be okay. But I'm going to go ahead and let it sit there for about another minute or so, and if it doesn't leak, I think we're in a clear. It's been at least 5 minutes. Put everything back together, and so far, it's a little wet, I guess. I don't know how much of that is just residual dripping down. So we're going to see if it runs, and if so, hopefully that fixes it. Maybe just letting it run sometimes can, maybe there was a small piece of grinding compound that's stuck, might wash it out. Of course, sometimes it could go onto jets, and that's a problem, but that's a pretty easy problem to fix. I'd rather fix that problem instead of a leaky carb. I'm going to put this back up here. I hate the ones that have like this little loop in it. Not exactly hard to figure out, but sometimes you kind of worry about damaging the cable or the cord. Looks like I'm missing or dropped one of the 10 millimeters that holds the recoil on. I don't want to touch the exhaust. Looks like that was the one I didn't tighten. Anyway, it runs. I'm going to let it run outside a little more, see if it stops leaking. Like I said, it sometimes can fix itself. The owner is actually on vacation. He's not getting back for a week. So he has no hurry. His son, however, is going to pick it up. He's told me whenever. So I think I'm going to wait about 2 days to see if anything else happens. I don't see a drip. So anyway, if your Troy Bilt mower has been sitting outside or in the shed or wherever for 4 years and it's not starting, your fuel probably looks like this, assuming that's not 2-cycle fuel. And this is what you have to do. Like I said, you don't need an ultrasonic cleaner. Carb spray is fine. set of wire brushes, all of which can be found at the auto parts store. And you're good to go. I'm going to leave you with that. Follow me on Instagram at SmallEngine101. If you like what you see, put a thumbs up. Helps me out a lot. If this helps you out at all, put a thumbs up, because yet again, that helps me out. And I'll see you on the next video. You have a good rest of your night.